we'll start. Welcome again to another episode of Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. I am your host, Lionel McDonald. So, special guest on the pod again as we are focusing on women that are doing amazing things in the month of March. Gabby Gonzalez, we met in New York when I was at her store. So, Gabby, what's happening? How have you been?
I'm great. Been busy, but great. Busy is good.
Yeah, we were talking on the side, and definitely she is a busy young lady. So let's just kind of get right into it. So we met at Kick Essential, which is one of the coolest stores in Soho for sneakers. But where did your sneaker love kind of start?
Man, it started when I was really young. My mom and I were actually talking about this pretty recently. I wanted a pair of basketball shoes, and I did not play basketball. And it was like a bright blue pair of LeBrons or something like that. And she was like, Ella, you're not going to wear these. And I was like, yes, I am. And I've always just been taller. I don't know if you remember when you met me, like
Yes, I
I'm
do.
6'1". So
Yeah.
I was never really into heels. I was never that girly girl with those things. So I was just really gravitated towards sneakers. And I didn't expect for it to be like a full-time job for me necessarily, but I always did have a love for them. I was always caring about which shoes I was wearing with my outfits. I didn't just want to be in like basic Converse or whatever. So,
Yeah. You're not one of those basic girls, that's for sure. I remember that we were talking about some of the hottest shoes that you had in your store. So what does your collection look like? I'm
oh
curious.
boy.
She's rubbing her face, so that means there's a lot happening there.
There's a lot. And since I'm in the process of moving, I'm noticing even more
Mhm.
because I have so many sneakers. And to me, I justify it with, oh, it's my job. But I do not need 70 pairs of sneakers, which is what I'm probably close to at this point. I'm really big into dunks. They're really comfortable for me. I love the style of Jordans, like Jordan 1s, Jordan 4s, Jordan 3s, but they're not necessarily the comfiest for my foot shape. Yeezys are super comfortable. I actually got into New Balances pretty recently as well, like New
Mhm.
Balance 550. I've been wanting to branch out into some other models as well. Um, but I feel like my go-to is always just Dunks or Jordan
Yeah.
4s.
Do you got a favorite pair of dunks?
Ooh, definitely right now, at least for the ones that I have, are the vintage greens. I love
Okay.
them.
Yeah, that one's a dope one. That one's a dope one. And we know that green is definitely a trend color this year.
Green
If you didn't
poppin'.
know, it is. Some people want it Kelly green, some people want it forest green, but green is definitely popping this year.
Yeah.
So, how long have you worked at Kick Essential?
Oh boy. I started with them when I was a senior in high school and I was 17 at the time, freshly 17, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's been about 3 years now.
Okay. And obviously Kick Essential is right in the heart of Soho, as I recall. And it was literally one of the last stores that I saw as I was kind of buzzing through New York on it was like my last evening. It was like right before that Nas concert at MSG.
Yeah.
But what's the sneaker scene? How would you describe the sneaker scene in NYC, particularly in Manhattan?
So it's very different now. I don't know if I discussed with this you already, but I'm from South Florida. Our main
Okay,
location is our Aventura Mall location,
gotcha.
and it's very different from here to there. That's something that all of us had to adjust to was in New York City. A lot of people are very focused on getting things early and making sure they're the first one to have it. And people will pay whatever price it is if they get it early. If they're one of the first people to have it, they want it. And it's very hard to say for New York City. The people in New York City don't necessarily care about the hype of sneakers that much in Manhattan specifically. It's more the tourists. So we get all
Hmm.
of the tourists that come in from Germany, Switzerland, Argentina, everywhere across the world. And they're like, I want a Jordan. And they don't even necessarily care what color it is. They just want Jordans. They're like, just give me the Jordans. Give me the dunk, the Nike dunk. Just give it to me. But the people that live in Manhattan and work in Manhattan are very big on like a shoe that was brought to my attention that I didn't even know existed, honestly, until I moved to New York was the Tom Sachs all purpose.
Yep.
I don't know if you've heard of them, but that's what the locals were going for. They're going for comfort and sustainability
Hmm.
and stuff like that, while they didn't care about the streetwear style as much. but it's definitely like there is a lot of sneaker culture in New York City. I just feel like the people that are working in Manhattan are not as focused on that as the tourists are.
Yeah.
And it just was kind of shocking to me because the people in South Florida are all into sneakers no matter
Yeah.
what their job is. Like they
Yeah.
want that shoe game. They want that heat.
Yeah, so it may be just like the tourist just may want to buy a shoe and it's like a status symbol. I bought these Jordans in New York,
New
and
York.
that's it's like, oh, it's got extra cachet, I guess,
Yeah.
for the fact that they bought it in New York. So we know the Kick Essential is obviously one of these staple places to buy cool sneakers in New York, but we also have noticed, in recent times, and maybe you can kind of give us the history, but you've been really creating content for your brand. So how did that kind of come to be? And were you natural before, and then they kind of just asked you because you were already doing stuff, or how did that all happen?
So it's a very funny story that I've wanted to get out there somehow at some point because it's very funny to me. All of my friends are like, that's crazy. So the owners of the company basically took me on and I was just doing sales for them. We started out of a kiosk.
Hmm.
And this is right when COVID is happening. So while COVID is happening as well, I have a personal page that I put some time and effort into, but kind of in a silly manner. It wasn't anything serious. The main platform was TikTok. So there's a lot of silly things that could go viral on there. And that kind of happened to me because I was just consistent with posting and I knew what the people wanted to see and it worked. And so I was able to gain, let's say, 50,000 followers in a few months. And I was kind of surprised by that, but I realized I knew how to work it.
Yeah.
So then once I got this job opportunity where I really enjoyed it and it was something I enjoyed because I was working a job I didn't love that much beforehand, I said to them, I go, can I do your guys' TikTok? Like, I feel like people would like to see these sneakers on TikTok. Like, my For You page is all sneakers and we should be posting stuff too. And the owners were like, TikTok, sure, I guess. Like, what's that really do for us? Like, what's this girl saying? But sure, girl, like, do your thing, whatever. You can do it. We have 30 followers. It doesn't matter.
Oh
So it's like, okay.
gosh.
So I start posting 7 to 8 TikToks a day of sneaker content, of transitions, of relatable things, of skits, of everything. And all of a sudden, it's 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers, 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers,
Wow.
200,000 followers, 300,000 followers.
I need
Getting
to
close.
hire you.
It was really, I don't know what I was expecting, but I knew that I was putting all of my effort into it. And I knew that
Mhm.
if I do it for myself, I could do it for a business. And so with time, we started having fans come in and ask for pictures or be like, oh my goodness, do you have this shoe that you just posted last week? Is it still in stock? I was making sales through Instagram, like 10 shoes a day just from posting it because
Yeah.
I knew that this shoe is cool.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of pressure all at once, but it was also really cool that my opinion mattered to the community. And not to put this the wrong way, but it's not common to see a girl in the sneaker community that knows what she's talking about, that's confident in what she's talking about, because there is a lot of men in the industry where it's kind of hard for girls to feel like they can be present in it. Because I've even had this one girl, she's super sweet. She's been a fan for a really long time, to the point where I've spoken with her through like direct messages. And she told me I inspired her to get a job at a sneaker store because she's like, you're so confident with it and you're in charge of all of these boys doing these sneaker things and you're managing this store and it's full of men and like you are the head honcho. And she's like, that's just so impressive to me and you gave me the confidence to go do this because it's all boys working in the store.
Yep.
And that made my year. Honestly, I was shocked that I had this effect on someone that I've never even met. So then I guess you could kind of see that through social media. So then all of a sudden people like Nike start reaching out to us and other people in local areas that have brands or want us to promote their thing, or they want to promote us, or influencers that want us to send them shoes for them to post it and shout us out. Like those just started kind of rolling in. And like I said, I did an advertisement for Nike. And just now that I'm kind of in that network of people, it's cool to know that the content I create is appreciated and does well. So it's kind of,
Kudos to you. That is an amazing story.
yeah.
I knew there was a nut to crack, and there it is. That is unbelievable that it's exploded to that. But hey, when you know your lane and you know what you're good at, and again, you put your heart and soul into it,
Yeah.
look what you created. So that's amazing to hear. And again, yeah, I think you really touched on something that kind of leads to my next point is, you think of Women's History Month, and sneakers continues to be, a male dominated area or realm. Like we even, there's even the conversations and the debates, like, should men even be allowed to buy women's sneakers, or how do certain retailers make sure that women have the first crack at buying these sneakers? Because it's just not as common that women will line up overnight, or women will line up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And there are some, but it's just not the majority. And guys are willing to do whatever, because many people in the resale game are guys and are willing to go out there and do the grunt work to get the shoe. And then guess what? It's not available for a woman, and a woman's now paying resale price if she really wants it. So the game is still very, very fickle. But what are your thoughts about, I guess, the women's sneaker community as it stands today?
I mean, it's tough because it really just matters. It boils down to how much the person really cares about the shoe. And a lot of people, men and women, don't understand the supply and demand of these sneakers and the limited releases and the drops and all of that stuff. And it's tough because there's a lot of women that aren't necessarily knowledgeable or educated or have the chance to learn about the drops and the limited access to these shoes. Like I will go and I'll try to tell friends like, "Hey, you should enter the raffle for this shoe so you can get it." And they're like, "I'm just going to go to the Nike store next week and buy it." And I'm like, "No, no. That's
Nah,
not
it ain't
work.
gonna be there. Yeah,
It's not going to be there."
yeah,
And it's crazy to me because a lot of my fan base is young girls. So, like I said, it's a lot of pressure, but I'm also confident in myself that I can set a good example for these girls, I hope. But a lot of the girls that will come in, I actually had a fan come in and she told me that they went to the Nike on Fifth Avenue and they
hmm,
saw a line for shoes and they were releasing the vintage green women's dunks.
yeah,
Said there was a huge line of resellers, like all men. And they were like, "Oh, it's a women's sneaker drop. Like, that's kind of weird that it's a whole line of men." And they're just getting any size they can to go resell it. And this girl told me that the security at Nike literally noticed her and her mother expressing interest in wanting the shoe, and they let them skip the entire line because they knew that it was just like a harmless tourist type of situation
wow,
that wanted sneakers. So I thought that was really cool that that Nike
hmm,
location went out of their way to accommodate for these people that wanted the shoes just to simply wear them instead of giving them to these resellers and everything. And it's tough because I'm technically a reseller, so I understand the game of everything of there's money to be made in it, and there's people that are going to bot things, and it's a whole industry now at this point
yeah.
that's just so
It's taken
huge.
on a whole life of its own. It's beyond just showing up, being the first person there, and I'm gonna get my shoe. Maybe
No.
I loop around and come around the back and I get a second one, and then I'm gonna resell them and make some bread on the side. It's way beyond that, because there's technology,
Yep.
there's people picking up homeless people in the street and throwing them in line, and here's 20,
Yeah.
here's $200, buy the shoe, and I'm going to collect it, and I'm going to get you lunch or whatever, like whatever the scheme that they pull. But it's a game. And you know what? I think we all have to kind of accept that's part of the game. Retailers have to accept that's part of the game. I don't know if there's a way to police it. Like, I think people say, "Oh, well, why don't you shut them down, or why don't you do this?" And it's there. You touched on something earlier. Again, that's what the novice sneakerhead doesn't know, or the enthusiast doesn't understand, that there's not this endless supply. I'm going to ask you a question. You might fall off your chair. How many people asked you about, well, yeah, oh, it's okay, everyone wants this lost and found, I'm just going to get it next week?
A lot. And the toughest part is the most popular shoe that has any sort of like resale value, I believe, or has any like hype in the sneaker and regular world is the Panda Dunk.
Yeah. Oh, that's like it has a mind of its own right now.
Oh, it's like I don't even know how to explain it. It's like the cool girl at school that everyone wants. And like everyone wants this Panda Dunk. And it's so funny to me because Nike has been re-releasing them. So they've honestly thrown me for a curve because I'm like, oh, you can't get these shoes. But then you look on Nike and it's on there every 2 weeks. But every 2 weeks, it's still selling out.
Yeah.
So you still have to be sitting on the Nike app at 11 in the morning to get this damn shoe.
Yeah.
And it's very funny to me because location is everything. So I was actually in JD Sports the other day in Times Square.
Yeah.
Huge location. They have New Balance 550s sitting there, and those are shoes that have a resale value. And they have some Dunk highs sitting there. They have some Dunk lows that aren't necessarily the prettiest, but to each their own.
Yeah.
And they have some of these shoes that have hype behind them sitting there. And that's the problem that people don't understand is that, like I said, it's not the prettiest Dunk low, but there's still a Dunk low sitting for $110 in this store. So then people go and see the vintage greens and they go, what do you mean this Dunk low is $500? Because
Yeah.
they don't understand that Nike released it once and then maybe they'll trickle it into stores here and there after the fact, but it's not really a shoe that they made a lot of. So it varies per colorway. So it's kind of confusing for the regular person.
Totally, because that's essentially, because if you remember the spring of 21, that's what we all thought the Panda was. It was like, here's the release. Stores got 12 or 24 or 36 if you're really lucky. This is out. It's sold out. Everyone wanted it. People were upset that if you didn't get it, and it was going to be gone. And no, oh wait, we found more. Oh wait, we found more. And
there's more,
whether it was a marketing scheme, whether it was not, the shoe comes, like, as you're right, it comes out like every 2 weeks, and people go like, what do you mean you don't have it? It's sold out. Everyone at my school has it. It's like, come back in 2 weeks. If you're here on the day, maybe you'll get it. But if you're not, you got to wait another 2 weeks and it will be available. Yeah. So like the Panda phenomenon is unbelievable, to the point that people are even very picky when it comes to Panda. People don't want the Panda high. It's sitting on a shelf. If you wear, today's fashion and you're wearing big flare jeans or you're wearing a pair of overalls, you can't even tell if it's a high or low. But they know it's not a Panda low, so I don't want it. And then even that colorway has become so incredibly popular. Like I know they just launched, like there was like a vapor Panda that actually they turned the shoe into a football cleat, and now it's reselling for $400 on StockX. It's a cleat. Wow. You can only use it to play football, but it looks like a Panda Dunk because that's the colorway and the leather overlays. It's worth $400. So they've created this whole phenomenon, and they can just every 2 or 3 weeks just keep putting it out. They find more. It's like, oh, we found more. Don't worry, there's more in the marketplace. Buy those ones.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks later, it's back out again.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah. So again, we've touched a little bit on reselling, and for those that don't know Kick Essential, it is a store that has shoes that have been bought somewhere else and they're resold. And there's many people that come in, you and I think that's the conversation we had. Like I picked up a pair of Canvas 4s. It's like, how much is this? And I was like, whoa, that's crazy price. I went back and I picked up like another Jordan 4, and it's like, how much is this? And it's not that I've not seen them. I've seen them at retail because I've been in stores at the time they've released. But like, where do you see the resale market? Because I definitely feel that there's this shift. And I wouldn't say that Nike isn't releasing Jordan 1s, but there's definitely now an attraction to the Jordan 4 in the last 5-6 months, where there wasn't that. It was Jordan 1 or broke. But now people all of a sudden want to wear a Jordan 4. What are your thoughts on that?
It's funny because I wish there was a way to predict the future as anyone else would. And I wish code to crack, because I'll touch on this for a little bit, but I'm going to parallel it to something else. I love the Jordan 4s. I love the silhouette of the shoe. They're more comfortable. They're more supportive than Jordan 1s.
Yep.
For some reason, the sole of the Jordan 1 is too flat for my foot. It's not that comfortable, like I said earlier, and I prefer the Jordan 4s over it. And there's just this look to it that I love, and they've released some really cool colorways of it. And it's already retails for higher than Jordan 1s, I believe, because
Yep.
it's just more quality. There's more put into the shoes than the Jordan 1s. And I feel like a lot of, same way with clothing, celebrities can influence like which sneakers are going to be popping. Like Hailey Bieber wore the Lucky Greens a bunch of times, and that's a pair of Jordan 1s that skyrocketed once she posted in them,
Yep.
because a lot of people follow her, the same way that when I was very, very hot and up and coming in the sneaker community, I remember I posted the Wolf Gray Jordan mids.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Miley Cyrus or someone said something about them. And it was Miley Cyrus in a song about them. And overnight they skyrocketed. And my video hit 4 million views of them.
Oh my
And
goodness.
everyone just bought them. And then I was like, oh, maybe I want a pair for my sister. Tripled in price by the next morning. I was
Oh
like,
my
never
gosh.
mind, my bad. So it's the same thing with the New Balances. So I thought New Balance was a grandpa company. I thought New Balances was dead. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're dead. I thought New Balance was dead. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing on my TikTok and I'm seeing on these influencers that are very like granola. I feel like that's the best term to use, is like just kind of
That's a new one.
that,
I'm going to run with that one.
that vibe.
Yeah.
Like they're wearing New Balance 550s. And they actually modeled the Louis Vuitton sneaker after the New Balance 550s.
Yep.
So people saw this sneaker and they're like, oh, this is an attractive sneaker, to the point where Louis Vuitton noticed it and remade it, but with a LV on it, and sold it for 5 times the price,
Yeah.
probably more. And these colors of New Balances, like the green and the blue and UNC, anything like Jordan played for, of course, is going to be up there. Blue, green, any color, honestly. Cream. People started eating it up, and I was like, maybe I should get a pair of New Balances. I don't know, I guess. Like, I thought those were dead. And I think I have 5 pairs of 550s now, because it's a good looking shoe. But it's definitely a different style. I don't feel like it's as streetwear as the Jordans are for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy to me, because it's like, I could have never predicted that I would be spending money on New Balances, or saying, oh, I want a pair of New Balance sneakers.
Yeah.
And now it's a huge thing. They're doing collabs with ALD, a bunch of different things. Joe Freshgood, like, they have all of this hype now, and they're selling them in Kith. We're selling them in our store. Like,
Yeah.
I expect that. Same way with the Jordan 4s. I don't really know where it turned, but I feel like the first time I really was looking into the Jordan 4s was when they did the Travis Scott collab.
Oh, the university blue one. And that
Mhm.
one, it was like, he's from Houston. It's like Houston Oiler colors, and which is like a team. It's now the Tennessee Titans. But yeah, it's such a bright blue, and it has red in it. Like, you put that blue in a red, you don't think that it makes sense. But yeah, I think that was the first Travis Scott's shoe, and that was when they kind of put the Jordan 4 back on the forefront. Because I think older heads like myself, well, we love the Jordan 4. The Jordan 4 is a classic one. You think of Michael Jordan making the shot, and that was the first playoff series he ever wore. He made the shot game 5 against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and like, it's the one he's like hanging in the air, and the defender like flies by him, and he's still in the air, and then he makes it, and then he fist pumps after he makes it and jumps up in the air. That's the memory of the Jordan 4. But so many other people now associate it with, it's with this collab or this collab, or Travis Scott started the whole thing, and then Drake had a shoe, and then there's supposed to be the Drake signature one, and then that didn't come out, and there's just so many other things that it's now had taken a life of its own.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, it's one of those ones, and it's so funny that you mentioned New Balance in general. Like the brand in 2 years ago had no streetwear cachet. They were the odd person that would wear a pair of 574s, but now we're talking about $270 Canadian, or 210 or 220 US, and people are wearing New Balance 990s. People are wearing 992s, 990 or the 9060 people are wearing. And then obviously 550s is like, this is like the another version of an Air Force. It's like, it's not an Air Force.
Yep.
It's different, but like you can wear it that way. People are going to wear it in the summertime with shorts. Like last year people wore it and it was so limited. It's like, how the hell did you get that? And now
Yeah.
people are going to, there's so many more colors. And New Balance is talking about they're going to like borderline double their business this year because they're just now going to make enough inventory and enough colorways that they can flood the market. And people couldn't get it and now are going to, and people are rushing out to buy up New Balance. And it's so funny, you know, how the market is. And then you think of little old Adidas that literally owned the market in 2017 with Yeezy and Ultra Boost and
Yep.
NMD.
Yep.
And now everything is kind of gone sideways for them. The whole Yeezy thing is
Yep.
a whole nother thing. Like maybe you tell us from your side, like, do people still come in and look at Yeezys?
It's very, very funny to me because I don't know too much about what happened with the whole situation with him. I've heard multiple sides of it. I don't really know, but I know that I think Adidas is taking him back.
That's the word on the street that it might happen. So
Yeah.
let me give
And
you a quick spin on what happened. So Kanye was very upset. We'll call him Ye because that's what he likes to go by now. Was very upset that he didn't get the credit or the cachet that he believed he deserved
yeah.
for the designs. Like he says, he made all of the designs. He was responsible for everything, but he's only getting a fraction of
Small.
the money. So he said the contract got to be rewritten because I'm the driving force. Like I'm a billionaire, yes, but I deserve way more than what I'm getting. So he started trying to put pressure on Adidas and they weren't hearing him. And it's like, hey,
Yeah.
they're up in the clouds. Kanye, you're a billionaire. So what? Will we help make you a billionaire? So you need to kind of stay in your place. So he continued to say, and we all know Kanye does have some mental health issues. You know,
Yeah.
it's well documented. You know, he's bipolar. There are other issues that are Ye. So Ye is now saying things more and more outlandish to try and get
Attention.
Adidas is his attention, their attention, and say, hey, we need to talk, or I'm gonna like just blow this whole thing up.
Yeah.
And then he ultimately, in many eyes, crossed the line, and he started to say things that were anti-Semitic and really offended people. And for those that obviously you think of the Holocaust and everything else that happened, like people started to boycott Adidas and
Yeah.
saying like, "There's no way I'm dealing with your brand. Like this is who represents you." So ultimately, that I think that was Kanye's part of his plan all along, and it's just only a theory that I have. But his plan was to kind of try to sever the contract. Then that way, there's no contract, but it didn't go as far as it did, and he could renegotiate the contract and obviously be better compensated for what it is. But it went so far, and we are in a world in 23 of cancel culture that he ultimately borderline got canceled. No one wanted to deal with him. Adidas couldn't go back and deal with him. So there's like millions of Yeezy pairs sitting there not being sold, not launching. Because like when sneaker companies, they make apparel a year in advance. Like that's at least it's designed and purchased by retailers. And in sneakers are like 6 to 9 months. Like people at Foot Locker or JD Sports, they're looking at stuff for holiday or for spring of 21 or it's 24, excuse me. So it's so far ahead. And because the contract got severed, they just have all these extra shoes now to be sold. And it's now cost Adidas billions. It immediately took Kanye's wealth and like removed like $1 billion that he was worth. So he's not even a billionaire anymore. He's like his half
Yeah.
a billion versus a billion. So that's just the reality of what's happened with him. Now,
Yeah.
the financial damage is so bad to both him, but more importantly to the Adidas brand. There is strong consideration. There's a rumor like every week they're getting closer to just saying that we're gonna put bygones be bygones and obviously rework a deal and get him back in the fold, because the brand right now is unfortunately spiraling out of control, like where it's going, and Nike continues to take market share, and then all of a sudden between Puma and New Balance, if Adidas is not careful, they're going to be the fourth most popular brand in North America or globally. So it's a crazy world, but you know, I don't know what the right decision. Like, do you stand by your morals, or do you really say enough is enough, and we got to stop the bleeding financially, otherwise the company is going to go under, and we bring back the guy that could bring some energy? Because it's clear, if Kanye didn't have such a following, the decision is easy, but the decision in monetary terms is not that easy. Me personally, I'd stand by my morals. This guy said these things. I can't stand for it. He can't work. I got to find somebody else. I got to find the next hot guy. I need to find the next Ye that's 21 years old or 17 years old, and I'm going to ride that coattail, versus saying I'm going to bring back this guy that was a borderline billionaire. But
Yeah,
money talks. So here we are, and
it's terrible because the situation was he took it extremely far to the point where it was bringing out other anti-Semitic people, and it was causing this movement where if it wasn't necessarily his intention, and his intention all along, I do agree, was to just find a way to get the hell out of that contract, which he succeeded at, but he also succeeded at causing a huge fuss. It's honestly crazy to me because a lot of the people that come in asking for Yeezys are Jewish. And at
wow,
least
are you kidding me?
I'm not even kidding you. I grew up in a very Jewish town, and all of them wear Yeezys. Their favorite shoes are Yeezys. Like, their whole wardrobe is Yeezys. They are still wearing them after all of this. And I don't know, like I said, there's a million sides to it, and there's a million things. And that's where I said, since I come from a very Jewish area, the owners of the business are Jewish. Like, I took it as like I was offended for them because I'm not Jewish, but I'm still like, there shouldn't be hate towards anyone, and there is. And it's bad because there's a lot of anti-Semitism in New York City as well that I've seen on the news and everything. But it was crazy to me because the majority of the clients that were coming in for Yeezys were Jewish. And I was just kind of shocked by that because I was like, wow. But the only thing is, the people that are coming in for Yeezys as well, they don't understand, no matter what he does, no matter how bad of a person he portrays himself to be or whatever he does that's terrible, the price is going to be driven up because now there is less stock and limited quantities of these shoes that are being released.
Yeah, this goes back to your whole supply and demand thing. So, hey, now there's limited supply. We're not doing a re-release of, you know, Bread 350s again because he ain't with us. So whatever Bread 350s are out there,
That's
I'll take my hands on it. Someone wants to sell, no problem. Now I can turn it and flip it back to someone else and say, you ain't going to see this again. Like, this is it. Like, you love the shoe. You loved the shoe 5 years ago. You love when they retroed it. But this is it. If you don't get it now, you ain't never having it. And that's now how there is a play on supply and demand.
And it's the same thing that happened with Off-White when Virgil passed away.
Yes.
It's the same thing that happened with Travis Scott
and
when
Kobe
Astro happened.
And the same thing that's happened with all the Kobe's. Like, I saw an article on the 10 most popular shoes that are currently worn, and it was crazy stat. I don't know how they calculate it. They talked about which shoe, like, model is being worn by minutes, and they calculated that number 4 or number 3 on the list was the Kobe 6, and number 1 on the list is the Kobe 4. So these haven't even been really retroed in years, but guys are finding ways to get their hands on them. In the NBA, obviously they make millions, but that's what they want to wear. They want to wear Kobe's, whether it's an ode to Kobe or it is an extremely comfortable shoe. Again, he was one of the few people that were wearing it, and not many guys wore the shoe other than Kobe when Kobe was wearing those models. But there's also where we are generationally. There is a whole generation that is now following Kobe 15 years later, that when they were playing basketball, when they were 10 years old, they didn't want to be Mike. They wanted to be Kobe. And now that they have the money and the means to get Kobe's shoe, that's all they want to wear.
Yeah.
So yeah, that it is crazy that, you think about Ye and you think about all these guys when they pass away, then their whole collection, like think no less in terms of the likeness of Tupac or the likeness of Biggie. Like it's way more valuable when they died than when they were even alive.
And it's crazy because I remember when Virgil passed, I was on
Hmm.
vacation in Universal Studios in Orlando, and the owners called me and they go, buy as many off-whites as you can. No budget, go crazy. And I'm like, what
What?
do you mean? And they go, Virgil passed away. The market is going to skyrocket. Buy as many as you can get your hands on. So I'm hitting up everyone I know. I'm like, if you have off whites, sell me them. I want to buy them from you right now. Sell me them right now. And they were right. It was the price
Hmm.
was increasing by the second.
Yeah.
Like it was unreal. So it's like stuff like that, like when it's a collab shoe
Yeah.
or something that makes it different. Like for example, the mochas, can't really predict that honestly, but that
No.
shoe only goes up.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
Yeah. So some wild things. And I know we kind of talked about a lot of different things, but let's kind of circle back on the women's side. So again,
Mhm.
Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life is available on Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you consume your podcasts. It's also available on YouTube, which this will be available in a couple days. But maybe you can share with us, in the women's sneaker community. Obviously, we talked about them starting to now make better shoes. We have athletes now, whether, I know I got a picture up there of my favorite player, which is Kelsey Plum. It's only a matter of time before she gets a shoe. We know Sabrina Ionescu, she now has a shoe that will be released in the summer. Brianna Stewart, she's got her own shoe. And then we've had athletes over the years that have come out with their own shoe. But what do you
Mhm.
think needs to change in the women's sneaker community to make it better than it is right now? I know that's a loaded question.
That is a loaded question. Um, I think it's tough because just generationally and time wise, with history and everything, there is a lot of misogyny in any field of work. Wage gap existed and exists. Like there's a million things that just from the past with gender, with race, with everything, there's some sort of segregation and there is some with women and men. And like I said, I have dealt with it personally when I go to events like SneakerCon or certain things where I'm doing business with men, where they look at me with a little bit less respect, and I can sense that.
Mhm.
And it's something that I guess I've kind of gotten used to, and it's something that I've learned to handle. But there are also things that I can use to my advantage. Being a woman is having some advantage over some men that do respect women. They would rather work with a girl than a guy when it comes to doing business, which is super cool when I run into people like that. And I feel like it's honestly up to the women in the industry to bring it up, because there are a lot of girls who honestly don't really care about sneakers that much. They don't care as much. They do care about their sandals and their heels, and that's totally fine. It's really up to personal preference. But for me and the girls that I've met in the sneaker industry, all we do is just try to raise awareness that, hey, there's some dope sneakers for women out there. You
Yeah.
should try to if you want to, but if you don't want to waste your time and if you think that's something that you're wasting your time with, you don't have to. But I think it's really important that us women in the industry stay connected with each other and stay with open arms to other women. Like I said, with that girl who wanted to work in a sneaker store, and if it wasn't for me, she maybe wouldn't have had the courage to. Like, I
Yeah.
hate hearing stories like that because I wish I could sit down one on one and talk to every girl that feels that way, because you should never feel intimidated by a male dominated industry, because that's a lot of the industries. That's
Hmm.
just
Yeah,
so.
that's the reality of North America, whether it's the music industry or it's the sneaker industry or it's the sports industry. Like the reality of the way that these countries, Canada and the US, were built, it's built and dominated by white males. So
Yep.
if you're intimidated to kind of get into the mix, or you think you're lesser of a person, or you just don't believe that you have value, then, and you don't get involved, then you're not going to get the full, effect or, experience of being part of these industries, right? So good on you, Gabby, that you continue to empower and champion women. Again, like I think a great point you made is that there needs to be a level of hand holding, and it's so easy for some, and we even see it in the Black community, where we see each other as rivals versus as allies, and how we do not work together to do things and to build things together, versus it's you versus me. There's always strength in numbers, and if we don't kind of think about doing these things together, you know, the movement will not move as the way that we want it to, and ultimately see the things that we're seeing. We're seeing more athletes with signature shoes, or more models being made specifically for women, because again, some of the models are fantastic. And I know I've bought, and I think the first one I ever bought was like a women's Jordan 12 one, because it was like white and Carolina blue, and I love Carmelo Anthony. He was playing for the Nuggets at the time, and he had one, and it was a PE, but this was the closest thing to it, so that's why I bought it. So yeah, there are some great things, and I think we just need to continue to embrace what's out there. So it is it was International Women's Day a couple weeks back, and it is Women's History Month. How did you spend International Women's Day?
I was actually home in Florida, so
Okay.
I spent with family. I got my hair done that morning. I had a
Okay.
nice self-care day, I just spent it with like friends and family.
Awesome.
Because the move to New York was pretty hard on me and I was missing home a lot because I am young and I moved out at a young age.
Hmm.
And so I kind of planned this trip home and it fell on International Women's Day and I had a great day with my girls, my sister, my mom, and my guy friends were there too, but
Yeah. They got to play second fiddle at least on that day.
yeah.
All
I
right.
made sure happy International Women's Day.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. So as we're wrapping up, let's just talk about, beyond just sneakers is fashion. So you're putting your outfit together for the day, whether it's it's something girly, or it's something you want to be casual or relax. How do you put your outfit together? Do you think about the shoe first, or do you think about the outfit first and then what shoe goes with that? You're up to like 70 sneakers now, so there definitely is some choice when you're thinking about what you're putting together.
Yeah, it's funny you asked that because it honestly differs. I have some sneakers that I've honestly never worn out of the house. And I told myself I would never do that, but it just kind of happens when you get
Yes.
so many shoes. And I have my favorites. And I honestly more recently have been going for an outfit first because I've been able to have a little bit of fun in New York City of layering. Like
Yep.
in Florida, I'm just wearing shorts and a t-shirt every single day. So I would definitely pick the sneaker first because the outfit could always be basic. But now once I've gotten to like sweatsuits and different things like that, like for example, what I'm wearing right now is a pretty popular brand. It's Young Thug's brand. It's called Spider.
Yep.
And I have a matching brown sweatsuit. Now it has pink, red, yellow, and brown. I have probably 12 different sneakers I could wear with this sweatsuit. So it really just depends like what I'm feeling. I have the Mocha Jordan 1s, I have the Neapolitan Jordan 3s, I have the Venice Dunk lows, like I have a bunch of different things. I have the Bloodlines.
Hmm.
And honestly, like it really just depends on my mood. Like, but sometimes I'll look at a sneaker, I'll be like, dang, I haven't worn this in a while. Like I kind of want to wear these. And that
Yeah.
happened today. Actually. With this outfit, I have the brown paisley SB dunks. And I was like, you know
Yeah.
what?
And I like those ones.
Yeah, I was like, I could
Any of the paisley ones are so fire.
yeah, I love them and you could tear them off actually. I've been
Yeah.
wanting to do haven't done it yet. So I saw them because I was packing and they were out. I was like, I haven't worn those in a while. What can I wear with those today? So a lot of the times it probably is sneaker first in my head because I have a million different sneakers I could wear with each outfit because that's just my collection at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And I think a lot of times it is driven by, no, it's what do you want to wear? Like, is it the outfit or the sneaker? Like, no different than me yesterday. I kind of go downstairs and I look at my shoes and it's like, oh, white cement 4 I haven't worn in forever. And that's like top 5 shoe for me. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm slipping. okay, I have to wear this. Now I build the whole outfit based on that. But it can go easily the other way, where I know the outfit that I want to wear, and then it's just like, okay, so is there a Jordan 1 that matches? Is there a Jordan 4 that matches? Is there a pair of Dunks that match? Is there a pair of 550s that match? And then you kind of build, and it's like, this one, and off you go.
Yeah.
So Gabby, really appreciate you being on the podcast. I think it was a great conversation. And I think we touched on more things than I probably anticipated, or I probably even imagined, but I think it would led to some really good open dialogue on some things. So I know you're doing some great things, obviously, for Kick Essential, but where do we find you on any social media? We're definitely going to have to find you on TikTok now if we weren't following you already. And maybe I was randomly following you and I didn't know and put two and two together, but how do we find you on social?
Yeah, so for the business, it's all just kick_essentials. And then for my personal stuff, I go by Gabby Gonz. My name's Gabriela Gonzalez. A lot of people don't know that I'm Hispanic. I don't look Hispanic necessarily. But yeah, my Instagram is Gabby with 2 Y's, Gonz. And then TikTok is, I think, the other way around. It's Gabby with 1 Y, Gonz with 2 Z's, but just Gabby Gonz online. And you can find me on like our Kick Essentials page and everything.
Awesome.
And I'm trying to post more on my personal accounts too of what I'm doing and everything, because I have had some cool opportunities in the city with sneakers and clothing and everything. And I'm posting on our Kick Essentials a pretty decent amount. And we're about to post a lot more now that I'm going to be making content in Miami too.
That's amazing. So very safe travels. Please pack up your shoes very carefully. Pray that they all get there, because I think that's the thing. And I've moved a couple times as a sneakerhead, and I think the number one you think was like, are all my shoes going to show up? Like, are they all going to? Is some UPS or FedEx guy going to get their hands on my box, and I'm going to lose a whole stack of something that's really important? So
Yeah.
wish you all the best on your travels and all the amazing content that you're going to create in 23 and beyond. But you've been an amazing guest. Really appreciate the time. I'm glad we were able to connect so randomly in New York, but
Yeah.
Good people and good vibes always find a way to connect. So this is just another perfect example.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a great time. I love to
Yeah.
talk about this. So
Yeah, it's the fun thing. You can talk about hip hop, or we can talk about sneakers. And a lot of times the conversations, although the content may be different, the vibe and the conversation can be very, very similar. So appreciate your time. Thanks for being on. Thank you everyone for listening to another episode of Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. I am your host, Lionel McDonald. We'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.